Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's TheSketchMonkey here. In this video, I'm going to take the Nissan Z Proto, the prototype from 2020 already, and redesign it and turn it into more of a 240Z inspired design. I love the way this thing looks. It looks a little stumpy. I think we can stretch it out in certain areas while keeping the original wheelbase here. We're not going to mess with the wheelbase. All I'm going to do is just redesign parts of the body and reshape and mold that, taking inspiration from the 240Z. So the Z Proto was introduced, or they showed this car in 2020. I can't believe it's been almost 2 years. And the launch of the production version is right around the corner now. The thing is, we've seen leaked photos of the actual production version of this car, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. Leaked photos from the front, the rear, and also some really cool touches from that you can see on the interior of this car. Maybe not the most popular spec when you go to buy the Nissan Z when it comes out, but it has a very cool looking interior. The thing is, with this car, I think it can't be anything but a hit when this comes out, because the price is going to start around $40,000, and comparing it's going to be straight in competition with the Toyota Supra, which is a lot more expensive than this, 10,000-15,000 more if you want a Supra. And the reason for that is that underneath the shell here of the Nissan Z Proto and the Z400Z, well, let's call it the 400Z for this video, underneath it's basically a 370Z, and I made a video on that on my second channel discussing what exactly is different remains from the 370Z, specifically in the interior. So if you want to go and check that out, go over to my second channel called Bambly, and I'm going to link it down in the description as well, so you can go and check that out. So the price point is because it's building on the 370Z. They take a lot from the old car and remold it, reshape it into this beautiful design right here. You're gonna have a twin turbo V6 putting out around 400 horsepower and a 6-speed manual. These are facts that have been confirmed by Nissan themselves. So let's have a look at the leaked images here. I want to show you the production version before we jump in and redesign this and take inspiration from the 240Z and apply it to this. I can't wait to do that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have a lot of ideas on how I want to do that. So this is the actual production version of the Z Proto, or the 400Z here. So you can see that it looks pretty much identical to what we have on the original Z Proto here. I can't really tell what's different here. Specifically from this angle, what I love here is the clear inspiration from the 240Z. There is no denying that they really had a good look at the 240Z and took what they could from that car and applied it to here. So you can see that this hood right here, this is a typical 240Z design right here. It can't come from any other car, and I love these small details. I'm going to show you more of those when we look at this from side view. But what I think looks different here is on the Z Proto here, if we go back to the Z Proto, you have a massive front intake right here, which has been argued and discussed if it's the correct way of designing the front end. It looks kind of boxy in the front end, but when you look at it on the leaked photos here, it looks like it's more of a separation between the top part of the graphics right here, which is more have a different shape to them, the mesh of the grille, and also a different color compared to the lower part, which is almost like a black hole down here. So it looks more like a separation here, and that is more in line with the 240Z, which had a chrome bumper that separated this big intake in the front in 240Z. I'm going to show you that also in just a second. We have another leaked front image right here. Same thing here. It looks identical to the Z Proto. One thing that you notice here is its typical way of going from concept into production. It loses this stance that we have right here. You can see that these wheels, they sit in the body. You want to have them more like the Z Proto here, where you have them almost flush with the body, the side of the car and the fenders, and it just doesn't sit as well as the concept car. But that's an aftermarket thought. You can just buy some spacers, upgrade the wheels, and you will solve that problem. What I care about is the body work, if that look anything different from the Z Proto, and I can't really tell. I can't see any differences here. I like that they covered up the Z logos here as if you wouldn't know what you're looking at by just looking at the shape of this car. Another thing that's also quite funny when you see these leaked pictures, they all have this super 240p bad quality to them. And I don't understand how or what type of camera they used to take this photo, because even the shittiest smartphones today take a better resolution picture than this, and all of them are like this. It's so funny to see when you have leaked photos like this. It's almost as it was intentional to, maybe they leaked it on purpose and want to make it look like a leaked picture. They just pixelated it a bit more. So here is the rear end. What I see different here from the Z Proto is that you have the ducktail here, which didn't come on the Z Proto, and I think it looks cool. I'm not sure if I would add that to this design, because the roofline of the Z is such a specific design, especially if you look at it from a side view. Other than that, you have the 300ZX inspired taillights right here, and this massive black diffuser stretching far up to reduce the overall weight on the rear end. And then you have this rear end right here. You can see a better perspective from this side right here, with the little spoiler added to that right there. And then we have the Z logo right there on the C pillar as well. And here we also have a black roof, which I think looks pretty good in contrast to the white. So now I want to show you the interior here, because the original 240Z, you can have it with a blue interior, and this is, I guess, an option that you can spec your new 400Z with this traditional 70s, 60s, 70s type of blue on the interior of your 400Z. I think that's really cool, and it's really an option that I would consider getting if I was buying the 400Z, just because of the nostalgic value to this design. So now, let's have a look at the Z here and what we're actually going to do. So let's pop in the 400Z here. So as you can see, I think the 400Z here, or Z Proto, as we just established, it looks almost identical to the 400Z when it comes down to production. This is what we're going to get. There are not going to be any major changes to the proportions or the styling or anything, except for, of course, the stance on the wheels here, but that's an aftermarket thing you can easily fix. So what I want to do here, if you look at the 240Z, we have a very sleek structure of the car. It's a sleek, elegant, almost athletic looking design, and also timeless, obviously, with this coupe line right here. And then you have this sharp corner right there, which they implemented really well right here. I think the best transition that they did was this part of the car right here, translated into this part right here. What I want to do is work more, I'm going to work on the front and the rear as well, but more on the front here. So this looks very thin and very like an arrow front end, and it doesn't really connect well or translate well to the new front end. I think it chops off way too soon. So what I want to do is just extend this, as I said, keeping the same wheelbase. So I want to extend the hood here and have this be nimbler in the front. So I not have it be so thick and front heavy with this heavy grille right here. And on top of that, I want to separate this grille somehow. So you see the bumper here. This grille is actually not much smaller than it is on the new 400Z or Z Proto down here. The only difference is that we have an element that breaks this big black square in the front. It breaks it up with the bumper, but we don't have that on the Z Proto right here. So I want to just add a piece of material like that and see how that is going to turn out. And on top of that, we have this piece right here, this indent in the side. I feel like they just added that to have some sort of design graphic features on the side of the car, but it doesn't really do anything. So I want to try and experiment with having maybe an intake that looks something like this, and then we can connect the shoulder line right here. We have a very clean, straight shoulder right here. I want to have this line be the same. So stretch this way, maybe go into this corner of the headlight. Another thing that makes the 400Z look heavier than the 240Z is something we can't build today, because you can't have this kind of ground clearance on a new sports car today. It's just not possible from safety reasons and performance reasons as well. We can visually show that it looks like a lighter car by adding some graphics down here in the bottom of the 400Z. So I'm going to simplify this design, almost have it wrap around like this, so that we have a chamfer in the bottom of the car that kind of wraps underneath the car. I think that's going to reduce the overall weight of the car and make it look a lot lighter if you look at it from a side view. So with that said, let's jump in and see how this is going to turn out. I'm really happy with how this redesign turned out. It's just some small changes. It doesn't need much, but it looks a lot more athletic now. It looks lighter on its feet and still planted with thanks to these beautiful wheels and tires that we have on the Z Proto that I would definitely want to have on my production 400Z if possible. But the main changes here is simply stretching and lowering the front end. We kept the wheelbase the same. The wheelbase is the same as the original Z Proto. I didn't extend it or shorten it or anything, but at the same time it looks natural like this, at least in my opinion. And specifically we have a smaller front grille where we have this little separation in the front grille from this the piece of body work that creates two different intakes in the front. You have the main one on top, and then you have a smaller slot down at the bottom. And this little detail there that we have in the corners of the front end, I think we can connect them to the grille and to the overall graphics in the front as well by creating some sort of intake in the side of the front end as well. That kind of brings in air to the brakes or the brake coolant or something like that. We can make it useful by opening that up. And I think the front end here is the biggest transition or transformation that makes a huge impact on this design. It doesn't look as stumpy anymore. It looks a little more athletic with this front end and also a little bit more resemblant to the original 240Z. Moving on to the side of this car and the side view, as I said, I wanted to make the shoulder line more horizontal and going into the wheel arch there, but that made the part that's above the shoulder line, it makes that part, specifically in the front fender, it makes it too wide and too high. So what I did there is just added a crease that wraps around the lower part of the window and then goes into the front headlight, and that kind of breaks up the height of that piece so it doesn't look too front heavy, but at the same time we're not changing any of the proportions. We're just playing around with the graphics here to kind of achieve the result that we want without messing too much with the proportions or the wheelbase or something like that. Some major changes to the platform of the car. That's not the intent here. Just styling the body panels is what I want to do. And also I think this little chamfer that we have now on the bottom part of the car, of the side of the car, it makes it look lighter as well. So if you combine the rear, the side, and the front end, all the graphic features that we added to this car makes it overall look like a more athletic looking car, in my opinion. I think it looks really cool, and specifically compared to the 240Z, I think you can see a lot more resemblance to the original car right here. That also comes into play when we tried to extend the rear end a little bit, so that doesn't have a stompy rear end as well. The 240Z, what I love about it is, as you can see right here, we have this line going here, and then it dips really far back and really low, and I want that to have the same kind of rake to the rear end on the 400Z here. We need to extend the roofline a little bit and drag it down while not giving it some sort of uplift in the end, because that would totally ruin what a 400Z or a Z car is supposed to have when it comes to the roofline. I also added a little more sharpness to the rear fender. Not sure about that part though. I'm not sure if I would want that or have that be smooth. In the original 240Z, it's a smooth line, but now connecting it to the current lineup of Nissan, it's a very sharp design. Specifically the latest cars that they came out with, they have this sharpness in the design, so we kind of have to take some modern features and apply it onto the 400Z, while retaining as much as possible from the historic 240Z. So it's kind of a mix. So that shoulder line right here is where it kind of clashes, and I'm not sure if I want to have a smooth shoulder there or if I want to have it be more modern with a sharper shoulder going there. But one thing I really love about this Z here that I think is going to be on the production's cars as well, because we've seen it on the leaks, is this little silver piece that goes from the A-pillar down across almost all the way down to the taillights and wraps around the rear window. I think that just shows, from the designer standpoints, it shows that they really wanted to hammer in the roofline of the 240Z or the Z cars. that's because they added this silver piece only on silver trim line only on the roof line, just to hammer in and show people that we really thought of the original 240Z lines. And that line to me is one of the most important lines when it comes to sketching and designing a 240Z. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.